Yeah, so hello, I'm Blake. This is my project or my poster for my project. I did it on the distribution of tornadic activity in Texas on a couple of different spatial scales. So yeah, just some quick background. The state of Texas gets basically every year that this has been recorded, they get the most number of tornadic events in the country of any state, and that's because of both the size of the state and the kind of diverse range from which they have tornadic activity. So yeah, so I just used GIS to study this, um, and just kind of visiting everything on both a general spatial, so like a statewide level, and then a like more on the county level, more a little more in depth. So asking just kind of my question, what I'm asking here is where everything is, where these tornadoes are distributed both on the county level and at the general spatial statewide level. So yeah, my goal is just to kind of get a sense of how either clustered or dispersed the tornadic events in the state are. Um, just kind of assigning every tornadic event to a county, and then also just general analysis through some stats methods I'll talk about later about where the tornadoes are and how clustered and or dispersed they are. So yeah, so the tornado, the data, so like the vector layer you see here up top. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, the tornado layer you see here up top, it's the layers from the National Weather Service, which is under NOAA. They publish pretty up to date like a layer for like tornadic events in the entire United States. I'll talk about some pre-processing for that later, and then these county layers, which are used for these two maps here, if you can see that, um, where the county layer is from the Texas Department of Transportation, and then I also use the statewide layer for the state boundary layer from the Texas Department of Transportation. So yeah, this analysis included just shy of 1,100 tornadoes, 1,099, and I just used to start with. I filtered all the tornadic events and filter them by date and then clip them to the statewide layer. I ran the analysis from 2015 to 2023, kind of more recent time frame. I wanted full years only included, and they didn't have everything quite updated for 2024 yet when I started this. So yeah, and then after that, I used the summarize within, generate this layer down here. You see. Just kind of a more simple, like user-friendly analysis of like which counties there are more tornadoes in. And then I ran an optimized hotspot analysis, which you see here. And then finally, I ran this kernel distribution you can see up top, and then got the standard deviational ellipse and a mean center for all the events within the state for the time frame that we're looking at. And then I ran some statistical analysis, which you see these graphs over here to the right. This is what we produced. I ran a second global Morand one and then an average nearest neighbor. So yeah, so in other words, we're just combining all these statistical tools and spatial, like the visualization, and to try to get like a complete picture of where the events are and how they're distributed. So yeah, so for my results, you can obviously see the maps here. Yeah, so you can see there are really two kind of main areas of tornadic distributions here, like in the Panhandle and in North Texas around the Dallas Metroplex, and then also here in the Gulf region. And this is so the tornadoes in the Gulf region are typically more from tropical weather, so like hurricanes, tropical storms, and then up north it's more the conventional like Great Plains, just typical like storm fronts that generate these events. So here in the middle, you have the hotspot analysis that kind of backs it up. Um, uh, the um, the tornadic patterns in the kernel density, and you can kind of just see the kind of the concentrations are in like the Houston area, and then the Dallas Metroplex, and then in the Panhandle around Amarillo, Lubbock. So, and then finally we have this layer down here, which is uh, which is just kind of a more like simple county by county breakdown of where the tornado is occurring. So yeah, and so also we have these graphs over here, and they this one here on the left is my Moran one graph. I know it's pretty small, but yeah, so it's it confirms at the county level um, that our distribution is a lot more like clustered tightly together, and that the counties neighboring each other are, and theoretically, as it explains, it is more likely to have another county next to it with a high distribution of tornadoes. And then this other graph here is from the average nearest neighbor. And this is more for analysis on like a general spatial scale, and it kind of confirms that throughout the whole state that the events are very clustered and or not very clustered. They're very dispersed, and that they are more just kind of randomly spread out. So yeah, um, so counties may show more of a clustered risk, but individual tornadoes are still more spatially isolated, more spatially spread out throughout the state. So yeah, I'll get rid of that circle. Um, so yeah, just as kind of conclude as a to wrap everything up, you conclude. Um, we see a lot of as a note tornadoes in cities. Um, so yeah, and that's more due to reporting, as you know, you have obviously more people live in these suburban and urban areas, and they're more likely to report when they see a tornado. Whereas if you say you have one here, then nobody really lives there. It's pretty sparsely populated, and it's less likely to be reported. And so that's kind of one of the bigger takeaways here is that it's kind of the whole tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it deal. Does it really fall? Kind of the same thing here. If there's a tornado out in the middle of nowhere in the Panhandle, does it really happen? Probably so. But anyway, so yeah, and this is also relevant to like risk assessment, as this might like you might show having more tornadoes here in these urban areas, but that's probably not actually the case. But it's still more relevant that these areas that are more populated are more aware of how how vulnerable they are to tornadoes. So yeah, I think that's all I got. Thank you for your time.